Welcome back. If you just joined us, we've been focusing on the military campaign in the dreaded Sambisa Forest. It's the crackdown operations against the Boko Haram in that fight-to-finish battle. And our guest on this episode of Question Time is the theater commander of the Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irabo. Don't go away. What would you love to see urgently addressed in terms of military welfare?
I'm afraid I do not see significant changes that I expect. Rather, it's for us to heighten, to maintain the momentum of what we're doing, and for the logistics pattern to also be maintained, to the troops, of course, for them to build up on the strength of the successes that we have recorded. So with that, I believe that in no time, the focus will no longer be military. It will now be other aspects of the operation, which of course in military parlance we see other lines of operation. Currently, the military line of operation is taking the focus, but I believe that in a very short time, other lines of operation will be given prominence, while the military will be tuned and just to be at the periphery to be providing ancillary support.
Would you say the Nigerian military is well trained to conduct a counterinsurgency operation?
Properly trained is relative. Before now, we had issues. But based on those mistakes, those issues, being able to realign them, I talked about in the course of this conversation that there's a clearer direction. When you understand a problem, then you can train for it. And I think that we've gotten to that stage where we've been able to understand what the issues are. We've been able to realign our training, which of course has helped us to build up the capacity that we currently now have. So again, is that sufficient? Training is a continuous thing. If you don't train, of course, you become stale. And so it's for us to continue on the path of that we have not realized. Of course, we've learned from our mistakes in the past, and we're going to build on that, on the strength of that discovery, and see what we need to do again to ensure that we do not have the situation that we witnessed in the time past.
In the past, the troops have complained of being handed obsolete military equipment. Has that situation been addressed now?
Well, if there were such complaints in the past, it's understandable. But currently, we no longer have that. Obsolete, again, is relative. What is obsolete in one instance might not be obsolete in another instance. As you know, issues of resources are a key factor, but currently we do not have such problems in the magnitude of what you tend to have been reported in the past. But currently, that has been, largely addressed, and I do not think that you see any of our troops who possibly will go behind closed doors to speak to the press on such issues.
We've also heard reports about sabotage within the military. So would you say there's still such elements in the military as of today?
Well, if there were such reports, it's not to my knowledge. If it were reported in the past, I cannot base my assessment on hearsay. But from the experiences I've had, there's nothing of that nature that has happened. Nigerian soldiers are a disciplined lot, with officers and soldiers professional in their disposition, and I've not come across such experience in my capacity as a theater commander.
Now, as it stands now in the war against the insurgents, would you consider a dialogue?
Dialogue, it's not in my place to determine whether there'll be dialogue. The dialogue, but the operations we are conducting is also part of the dialogue. Why we have not gone full blast in the past was to also give an occasion for them to the part of reason. And then even today, if any of the insurgents decide to surrender, of course, he's assured of his safety. His safety is guaranteed. He's assured that he'll be well treated, very humanely, in line with laid down procedures, and of course, in consonance with world best practices. So for me, dialogue at another level, of course, perhaps maybe the federal government may want to also look at that. But I do not think that at this stage that we will have to lower our guards and there because we want to go into dialogue. No. Rather, they should, if I may use this opportunity to counsel them to know that what they have embarked upon is ignoble. It does them no good, how much more the larger Nigerian populace. So I would rather advise that they should lay down their arms and then come to surrender to the security forces. We will accord them. Of course, we have a good number of them in our detention centers, and I'm sure with time we will invite you to come to see them and interview them. Let them also tell you how they are being treated, which of course could serve as a forum for them to reach out to their colleagues still in those dens.
Let's now review the rules of engagement of the Nigerian military against the Boko Haram sect. Over time, the Amnesty International had cause to raise the red flag, indicting Nigerian troops of unprofessional conduct.
You see, for you to have an accurate report, you must be part and parcel of those who are in the front lines. You need to be embedded. So it's not impossible that some of the sources of Amnesty International could also be working for the insurgents. But let me tell you that in the recent report that Amnesty International has actually given us what I may term to be a clean bill. Why? Because they now know better. They now have better information as to what the disposition of our troops are in the field, how we have been conducting our operations. And so that, of course, tells you that our operations are within the confines of the rule of engagement. And of course, you also know that we have huge respect for international humanitarian law. You would have also heard of the human rights decks that have been opened in the theater, and of course the various formations across the Nigerian army. So that, of course, lets you know that we take issues of human rights very seriously, and we ensure that they are kept in view each time we conduct any operations.
Would you consider investigating the previous Amnesty International reports?
Investigations have been carried out. That, of course, if I want to believe, you'll be thinking of, you are talking about the Baga issue of, I think, 2012, 2013. Of course, there were investigations that were carried out when they talked about mass graves and all that. At that time, the question was, look, we're talking about 2,000 houses. What is the size of the location you're talking about that you think that there are 2,000 houses? And then if you say you are depending on satellite imagery, of course, you should be able to provide where those graves are. So what investigation other than that, at the time, the military as well as the international partners who went to the ground, and then the community leaders also were there, and they were taken around, and they could not see where those mass graves, so-called, were located. So for me, I think adequate investigation had already been done.
Now, what can you say about the current civil-military relations?
I would say it is superb. Again, very superb. That's because we have had a good relationship with our host communities. The citizens of Borno State, Yobe, and Adamawa have been very wonderful in recent past. And that, of course, accounts for the successes that we've been recording. There have been greater synergy with the populace. And so, again, they couldn't have been engaging with us if we have been very hostile. So we have realigned, we have actually understood the need for closer interaction, for an enhanced civil-military relations. And that's the reason why we're able to make the impact that we're making currently.
Before we wind down this conversation, what would you like to tell Nigerians in terms of their awareness level? What should be their awareness level?
Security is everybody's business. Whereas the military, we have been authorized by the Constitution to have the force of arms, to be the force of arms. But you see, it is not just with the physical arms that you can ensure and guarantee security. Security is potent only where there's credible information. That is the reason why I want to encourage every Nigerian to see security as part of a parcel of his lifestyle. To know that you need to know your neighbor, you need to know who lives next door to you. You need to be conscious of the attitude and character of the man by your side. And where you realize that there is something untoward in his character, it behooves on you to report to the security agencies, who of course take it out from there.
Theater Commander Operations Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irabo, thank you very much for making our time to be part of this episode of Question Time, and also telling us about the federal government's commitment to end the war against the terrorists as soon as possible. We wish you the very best of luck. Thank you very much, Major General Leo Irabo.
Thank you.
And that's it on this episode of Question Time. You may also send us a comment on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Join us next week on another exciting episode of the show on Channels Television. Many thanks for watching. I'm Benga Ashur saying goodbye.